Hello and welcome to Jerusalem, a city steeped in history and culture. Today, we're going to take a closer look at one of the city's lesser known but equally fascinating landmarks, the Robinson Arch. Where is the Robinson Arch and what is the history behind it? This arch we are about to see was discovered by an American explorer who toured the land of Israel during the 19th century by the name Edward Robinson. Among his many explorations, one of his most famous finds was the capital stones protruding from the western wall near its southwestern corner. Robinson recognized in these stones the remnants of a large arch over which a bridge passed from the Temple Mount to the upper part of Jerusalem. The arch, which was built during the reconstruction of the Second Temple, was eventually named after Robinson, who identified it in 1838. The arch was constructed as part of Herod's expansion of the Second Temple around the end of the 1st century BCE. The huge stone span was built alongside the Temple Mount's retaining walls. It was known to bring traffic up from ancient Jerusalem's lower market district, across the Tyropian Street, and to the Royal Stoa complex on the Mount's boulevard. We might wonder how Robinson was able to make the connection that indeed there was an arch here since Herodian times. Robinson mentions that Josephus Flavius, a famous historian who lived during the time of the Second Temple, made a specific reference to this flight of stairs now known as the Robinson's Arch. The last gate to the rest of the city was separated from it by many steps that went down to the valley, and from there steps went up again to the upper city. With the fall of Jerusalem at the hands of Titus' army in the year 70, the soldiers of the Roman legion worked on the systematic demolition of the Temple Mount. The pile of huge stones we see are the remnant of the destruction and are estimated to be only 10% of the stones that were dropped from the wall. Most likely the Jewish captives had to destroy one row after the other, so what you'll see at the bottom of the pile is the first row of the wall, and on top of it the second row, and so on. It was probably very difficult to move and destroy such a structure when each stone weighs more than a ton. The demolition of the arch required a special effort. The Romans were able to bring down the arch only after they managed to pull out the headstone. As a result, the whole arch collapsed at once. Evidence of this can be found in the section of the street below the arch, right here, which as we see is almost completely destroyed. Unlike most of the paving stones, which cracked and bent under the impact of the wall stones that were dropped on them from above, the paving stones under Robinson's Arch were completely broken and forced into the sewer channel that passed through the bridge. Until the later part of the 20th century, this area of the western wall was covered with dirt and was at some point used to grow vegetables. However, the large archstones protruding from the western wall remain visible above the ground. As part of the many excavations by one of Israel's pioneering historians, it was Professor Binyamin Mazal who excavated the areas near the Temple Mount, and in 1968 discovered additional and important parts of the arch. At a distance of about 20 meters from the western wall, the Robinson's Arch solid foundation was exposed in its entirety. Built on the natural rock with huge stones carefully and elegantly curved, the base is a few meters wide and about 15 meters long. Archaeologist Meir Ben Dov writes that the Robinson Arch was the largest in the world at its time. Indeed, it was an excellent architectural solution for a comfortable and safe ascent of a large number of pilgrims from the streets at the foot of the Temple Mount directly to the temple complex. But one must never be allowed to ascend to the Temple Mount if they were impure, and so before going into the temple, one needed to be purified in the mikveh. Behind the four shops, we will see two mikvehs. A mikveh is a construction which collects rainwater into a pool and used for purification. Every pilgrim must enter the water completely naked, and only after can they go up to the temple to make the sacrifices. The reason for the location of the mikveh in this area is obvious, because it was forbidden to ascend the Temple Mount without complete immersion in a mikveh. And during the pilgrimage, the demand for mikvehs was usually very high. This explains why more mikvehs were found by archaeologists in the surrounding area. In one of the mikvehs, there is a kind of railing separating the stairs going down to the mikveh into two parts. The idea was to divide between those going down to the mikveh who are impure and those who have been purified. According to Dr. Yaakov Bilig, in 1968, the original floor of the street below Robinson Arch was revived in its completeness. This floor was paved with huge stones for beauty and stability. And it's amazing how it was preserved. Not a single stone was reconstructed. The width of the street is 8 meters, that is equal to the biblical measurement of 60 cubits for public spaces. Usually, in the ancient world, the streets were narrow, but in Jerusalem, which was supposed to receive many pilgrims, wide streets were built, at least in the Temple Mount area. On these streets, Dr. Yaakov states that they have found 350 coins, 100 coins scattered and 250 coins hidden inside a wall of one of the shops, most likely a cash box. All those coins are from the period of the Second Temple, mainly from the years of the Great Jewish Rebellion, and they state in Hebrew the second year, the third year, the fourth year to the freedom of Zion, or redemption of Zion. But after the Roman destruction, this city life ended. Professor Mazal has also speculated that there used to be public activities in this central location. It was also the seat of the administrative archive of Jerusalem in the days of the Second Temple, where important bills and contracts were deposited. Thanks for joining us on the journey to uncover the history of the Robinson Arch, and join us again in the journal as we explore more fascinating historical sites.